Have you ever wanted to create your own bioactive enclosure, but you just don't know where to start? Well, good news. I'm going to walk you through exactly how we create these enclosures here at the shop and give you a step-by-step process on how we build them, what supplies we use, the products we use, and much, much more. So if this is something you guys are interested in, stay tuned and we're going to get right into it. So what exactly is a bioactive terrarium? What does that even mean? Well, a bioactive terrarium is basically a self-sustaining mini ecosystem to house your amphibian or reptile. Within this mini ecosystem, we're going to have things like good substrate, we're going to have live plants, and microfauna. Microfauna is basically your cleanup crew. So you've got springtails and then you've got isopods. Your springtails are going to work to aerate your soil and clean up any mold that may build up in your enclosure. Then you've got your isopods. They're going to clean up any of the waste from your amphibian or reptile and help break down organic matter so that it can be transferred back to the plants that are within the enclosure. So today we're going to create more of a tropical habitat for things such as like a crested gecko or a tree frog or a poison dart frog or a gargoyle gecko. So I've gathered up all the supplies and products we're going to need to create this bioactive enclosure. I went ahead and grabbed this naturalistic terrarium made by ZooMed. It's a 5-gallon opening front and it's going to work perfect for what we're trying to create today. Next is going to be our substrate and our drainage layer. These are both made by the Bio Dude, and we're going to be using the TerraFlora and the HydroGrow. Then we're going to have a piece of cork flat for the background that we're going to be creating in this habitat. We're also going to use some terrarium sphagnum moss, a forest branch, and then we're going to have a couple live plants. So we're going to have a pothos and a neon heart leaf that we're going to put in here. And then we're going to have some dairy cows, so our isopods and our springtails. We're going to need a couple small terracotta pots, a pair of rubber gloves, a mesh screening that you can get at your local hardware store. We also sell the Bio Dude screens here at the shop. And then a can of expanded foam. Preferably, I like to use this stuff called Pond and Stone, made by Great Stuff. It comes out like a charcoal gray color, and it seems to work pretty well. Alright guys, so we're getting ready to build the background for our bioactive enclosure. And the first thing we're going to want to do is lay our enclosure flat on the ground on its back side, and then we're going to want to make sure we have all our supplies ready to go. So I've got my sphagnum moss ready to go right next to me. I've got my cork ready to go, and our 2 terracotta pots we're going to be using today. I've also got this here expanded foam, and that is ready to go, shaken. You're going to want to shake well when you go to use this stuff, and you're going to have to work in kind of a timely manner, because once you put that down, it's going to dry. The stuff dries fairly quick. It's going to take about 2 to 4 hours to kind of actually cure, maybe 24 hours to fully cure, but as far as, you know, to the touch, it will dry fairly quick. So we got to work fairly quick when we're doing this. So have everything you need, have some paper towels around, have your gloves on, ready to go. And first thing we're going to do is open this up. We're going to take our expanded foam, and we're just going to kind of start and work our way down until we fill the whole entire thing with one layer of expanded foam. Once we have a whole layer complete, then we're going to put down our cork pieces and our sphagnum moss and our terracotta pots. Alright, so like I said, just start, and once you get going, just kind of keep a pattern going and fill from top to bottom. or however you want to go about it. It really doesn't matter. Alright, so now that we've got a nice even layer across the bottom, we're going to go ahead and place in our terracotta pots and our piece of cork bark flat. So, I'm going to put these in first. I always like to put one in the bottom left corner. I guess that's just preference. And we'll just kind of 45 that. And then I place the second one about just over halfway, 3/4 towards the top, and we'll just place that in like so. Now we got to place our cork, so we got to decide which way we want it to go. So I'm going to place this just right in here, and we're going to just kind of work it in to make sure it touches all that expanded foam. And then we're going to go ahead and add some more expanded foam to cover up the terracotta pots and seal those a little better, and to seal this piece of cork bark a little better. We're going to add just a little bit of expanded foam, fill all these cracks and nooks that may be exposed, and then with these terracotta pots, just try to cover up most of the terracotta pot as much as possible, just for appearance wise. And don't be shy with this stuff. I typically use a whole bottle for one of these jobs, and that seems to be just enough. And if you get a little on the glass, a razor blade will take it right off, no problem at all. So now I'm just going to go through, check for cracks, areas that didn't get filled very well. Going to add some fresh stuff before we start adding the sphagnum moss. And I usually like to put quite a bit at the bottom. So like I said, don't be afraid to use it. Fill in all those little cracks. Get it to seal nice and good. There's no point in saving this bottle once you're done. So there is a whole bottle. We are all done there. Now we need to quickly start adding in our sphagnum moss. So you're just going to kind of spread this out and just kind of slowly work it in to all the exposed areas. And if you put too much on, that's fine. Whatever's gonna, it'll eventually fall off. But you want to kind of really work it in as much as you can. We're just going to kind of cover all the exposed foam with this sphagnum moss. And that's going to hide all this foam. It's going to allow high humidity to happen in this tank because that sphagnum moss is going to retain in a lot of moisture. Alright guys, so we've got everything in. We're going to let this dry. We're going to leave it alone for at least 2 to 4 hours, if not longer. And then we're going to come back to it and we're going to clean it all up and add in our substrate and everything else. Alright, so we've let this dry for approximately 6 hours now. And we are ready to start putting in our decor, our substrate, our drainage layer, and all that good stuff. So the first thing we're going to want to do is grab us our drainage layer, which we are going to be using Hydro Grow by the Bio-Dude. So when you go to put this in, you're going to want about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of a drainage layer. So we're gonna fill it up to about here with our drainage rocks. So now that we got our drainage layer in place, we are ready to go ahead and put in our barrier, which is gonna be this piece of mesh that you can get at your local hardware store. So I've already kind of pre-cut this out. We're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna lay this in here over this drainage layer. All right, so we are ready to go ahead and put in our substrate. Again, we're gonna be using this Terra Flora by the Bio-Dude, and we're just gonna put in about 1 inch to 2 inches of substrate. We're also gonna use this substrate to fill in our terracotta pots for our plants that we're gonna be putting in. Okay, so we now have our drainage layer, and then we have our substrate layer. We've got our substrate and our terracotta pots. We are now ready to start placing in some of our decor, such as our plants and our forest branch. And I'm gonna add a little bit of catappa leaves. I didn't have those in the video earlier, but I do have some catappa leaves I'm gonna throw in there for these springtails and isopods. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and place in our plants. The next thing we're gonna do is add in our springtails. We're gonna be using white springtails today. They prefer a higher humidity, and it's gonna work great for this enclosure. All you're gonna do is open this up and just kind of sprinkle it in the substrate, and you're good to go. So within these enclosures, I always like to use a little bit of catappa leaves. It's gonna help keep the soil a little moister. It's gonna give a place to hide for all your little critters like your springtails and your isopods, and it just gives a nice pretty appearance. So we're just gonna take some of these and we're gonna sprinkle a handful of them in there, just in random spots. The next thing I'm gonna do is add in this here forest branch that I have. All right guys, so our last step is gonna be adding in our isopods. I have here some dairy cows. They're gonna work perfect for this terrarium. Again, this is a product made by Midnight Bites. Great stuff. And after we get this in, I think we're gonna be complete. All right, so now our final step to this is gonna be adding some moisture. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this down real well. It's gonna soak into all that sphagnum moss, the substrate, and kind of fill in the drainage layer a little bit. We're gonna water these plants real good so that the roots take in well. All right guys, so here is how it turned out. We've got our catappa leaves, our forest bark, our plants. We got the background we've created using the sphagnum moss and expanded foam and cork bark, flat. So as you can see here, we've got our drainage layer, we've got our screen, and then we've got our substrate. And there it is guys, this is our live bioactive terrarium that is ready to house whatever we decide to put in it, but it is complete. I think it came out pretty well. So there it is guys. I'm gonna go ahead and show you real quick again the other terrariums we have built here, just so you can get an idea that nothing has to be perfect. It's all unique, and it's just, that's the fun of it, creating each one with a unique piece of wood, plants, and decor. So if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.